Netflix and MAPPA have entered a new strategic partnership, the two companies promoting new projects aimed at, wait for it, the global market, spanning everything from story development to merchandise expansion. MAPPA president and CEO Otsuka himself stating the Japanese animation studios should lead proactively from a global perspective. Man, that word global. Absolutely hate it, right? Now, I do want to start this video by saying that yes, Netflix and MAPPA, they've been partnershiping with each other for a long time. This isn't a new thing. Technically, if you go to Netflix's site right now, they have a page just for MAPPA. And here's all these titles that are there. A lot of these titles, like Dorohedoro, Yasuke, Kakegurui Twins, Maboroshi, these titles are literally exclusive to here that Netflix himself has paid into. So again, this isn't a new thing. This is just sort of a new partnership that they're now doing with Netflix and MAPPA together. Now, let's actually get into the article we have here at AV Watch. AV Watch had reported Netflix and MAPPA inter-strategic partnership, MAPPA anime to be simultaneously released worldwide. Netflix and anime production company MAPPA announced on the 21st that they have entered into a strategic partnership. In October of 2020, MAPPA and Netflix formed a comprehensive business partnership for newly produced works, building a strong relationship. This included exclusive distribution of titles such as Kakegurui Twin, Ranma 1/2, and The Rose of Fasai. Like I said earlier, these are titles they've been doing before. Again, this is not really necessarily a new thing. Now let's get into this new partnership. This partnership further strengthens their existing relationship. Beyond distribution alone, the two companies will promote new projects aimed at the global market, spanning everything from story development to merchandise expansion. And there's the big red flag. When I was reading through this, that was the first point. That was where I was talking about earlier. That was the first point where I'm like, oof, let's hold on here. Step back a little bit, Netflix and MAPPA. I think you're forgetting why anime is so great. Now, let's be truthful here. We have a partnership between two companies here. One of those companies is Netflix. And what is Netflix's focus? Global. They are a global company. They have always been a global company. Well, not always a global company, but they've built themselves into a global company. And thus, yes, anything they're going to be partnershiping with, anything they're going to be putting their money into, what are they going to want? Something that's successful globally. But the big red flag here, obviously, is that now you have MAPPA being involved with them. And the fear here is that they're going to be forcing MAPPA to focus their content on a more global focus. I think the concern here really for me personally is specifically the part where it says the two companies together are spending everything from story development to merchandise expansion. Story development, that's the part where I'm kind of concerned with. With the focus on global, Netflix being involved, and story development. I guess this can technically go two ways here. One being the idea that, yes, they're going to be probably trying to focus on adapting works that may potentially be more appealing to a global audience. Things that are less, jarring for anybody in the world to actually watch, and thus will be more appealing when it's on Netflix for somebody to click on and go to watch. Or it can go the route that we're not really wanting, and it's going to be a sad reality, and probably things we'll just probably roll our eyes at and just completely ignore when it comes out, is the idea of Netflix having stories that they make that they think a global audience will enjoy that they'll now have MAPPA actually animate. That could be a thing as well. And we've seen how that has turned out, right? We have seen, stories that are, focused on Japanese stories that Western people create that completely flop, right? Death Note, anybody? That doesn't really kind of create a lot of, positivity in my mind. That could be things that are just going to kind of fall apart and just be completely ignored at that point. When it comes to anime, for anime fans, they come to it because they want Japanese stories. They want entertaining stories that Japanese people create. I and many other people watching this probably don't like the idea of coming to content on Netflix and it being, by MAPPA, but not done by creators in Japan that have a passion for what they want. Instead, it's got a passion for global audience. It's got a passion for being globally successful, what they think will be globally successful. That's not how this works. Things are successful because they tell their own story and people gravitate to what the creator created. Hideaki Anno here recently said that. No, I make what I want to make and cool. They liked it over there. I'm so happy. That's a little bonus for me. I just make whatever Japanese people want to watch. I'm focused on the theaters over here. If you guys like it, that's great. Several anime productions are already underway between the two companies, and they are planned to be released exclusively worldwide via Netflix in more than 190 countries and regions. Next to the statement from Manabu Otsuka, the president and CEO of MAPPA, he says, "We have worked with Netflix on various initiatives up until now, and this strengthening of our partnership is based on one of MAPPA's core philosophies, being a studio that is independent in both creative and business aspects." 100% agree with him. This is something that I've covered several times before. I've made several videos. A lot of them are Otsuka's interviews. And it did seem like his whole focus was to be unlike any of the other studios. A lot of other studios are very focused on being funded by production committees that essentially eat up all the profits. They come to them, they pay them measly amounts of money, and then the anime goes out, it's successful, and all the money goes to the production committee. So they really wanted to focus on the idea of them themselves producing. And again, that's the whole idea of Chainsaw Man. They want to 100% produce it, thus that they get all the profits from it. And yes, he said that it actually came out pretty good. They did well. Despite what a lot of people were saying, they did well. We believe that Japanese animation studios going forward should take responsibility and lead proactively from a global perspective. Understanding audiences' needs from the planning and development stage through to reaching viewers and even into related business expansions. Now here's where I'm sort of like feeling like Otsuka has sort of, I guess, changed the perspective. I got a feeling from one of his previous interviews that he didn't like the idea of really focusing on working with streaming services and whatnot to make their profits. He was really about the idea of making sure that you're independent and you don't rely too much on one thing. This really does feel like a little bit backwards here in the idea of being so connected to a company like Netflix. Now again, this is just one part of this partnership. The other idea of this is really getting into merchandise and whatnot. And MAPPA could be working a lot with Netflix and other companies together to produce other things, not just focus on whatever Netflix is going to give them for a particular title. Either way, again, this is where I think is the bigger red flag in this whole partnership is this statement right here. It's not the partnership itself. It's the fact that during that partnership, Otsuka mentions the idea of wanting Japanese studios to really proactively seek a global perspective, to actively try to get your mind into a global perspective. Because again, that's not really where it's at. I think MAPPA of any studio can pull that off because they're able to grab audiences with their animation. A lot of other studios don't have the caliber and the production will that they have that produces insane animation to grab people visually alone. Most all other studios will fail if they go to a global perspective. It just sucks that this statement right here really does kind of cement that MAPPA's idea going forward is to be more global focused. Now, this again is just the titles that Netflix and MAPPA are producing together in this partnership. MAPPA has expanded so much that they have a lot of stuff that is in their production line. They have like multiple production groups. That's how much they're churning out. I mean, you're seeing right now with how many titles they're really churning out right now. This current season, we have Jujutsu Kaisen and Hell's Paradise at the same time. In previous seasons, we had Ranma 1/2 and Campfire Cooking running at the same time. These people are turning out a lot of stuff. Within 1 year, look at all these titles they produced. MAPPA has a massive production line going right now. Understanding audiences' needs, from the planning and development stage through to reaching viewers and even into related business expansions. Understanding audiences' needs is a very interesting statement there, and again, with the global perspective. I guess that gives me a little heart there if he understands that what the global audience wants is what they're already doing. Don't try to do anything else. But he's telling Japanese studios not to do what they're currently doing and to do something else. It's a very weird statement. To be honest, it could be lost in translation. As MAPPA, we intend to commit even more deeply to Netflix's distribution and business development and to realize a long-term win-win partnership. Again, a very odd statement, how much he's focused on the idea of Netflix itself sort of being this thing they want to support. Because again, I've seen previous statements by Otsuka that it sounded like he didn't like the idea of relying on overseas global streaming platforms, that he wanted to be more sustained by the fans. And again, that made sense to the statements at the time because he was talking about Chainsaw Man. No doubt, Crunchyroll paid them a lot of money for Chainsaw Man. It was evident by the fact that Crunchyroll was advertising the hell out of it. Makes sense too because it's very marketable. Look at this crazy animation scene. Come subscribe to Crunchyroll. It was an easy win for Crunchyroll even if they didn't pay that much for it. But the whole point in that interview was the idea that we got a lot from Crunchyroll. We made a lot of our money back from that alone. But we didn't want to rely on that, because relying on one single thing too much could lead to disaster. Because you shouldn't rely on one single thing. Here it sounds like he's so much relying on. And this is a co-announcement here. They're going to be talking big about the idea of how great their partnership is. And let's be perfectly honest. Like I said earlier, MAPPA has multiple production lines. This is going to be a very small part of all their production. It's probably going to be one single production line is going to be just for these Netflix titles, when they have all these other ones doing so much stuff. Again, if you look at what they're producing a lot of stuff every year. It's just going to mean that one of these things every year is going to be this Netflix title. Everything else is going to probably be status quo. They're going to keep doing Jujutsu Kaisen, all this other stuff. They're going to keep doing Ranma. And then over here we have this one title that's going to be a Netflix title. So don't take my words as if MAPPA is like full in on Netflix here. Then we have the statement from Netflix's Vice President of Content, Kazuta Sakamoto. They said MAPPA is a wonderful animation studio that boldly takes on unprecedented forms of expression and challenges, and succeeds in doing so. At Netflix, we want to deliver Japanese anime to fans around the world in the best way possible, so they can truly enjoy it. To achieve that, fully supporting the passion and challenges of creators is essential. By combining MAPPA's originality in production, Netflix's global reach, and our shared strength, the courage to take on challenges that is indispensable for creating compelling works, we want to further expand the possibilities of anime. Despite all my fears around how MAPPA is talking in this whole thing and the joint statement, this gives me a little bit of hope here, because at least it sounds like their focus is we're going to make sure that it gets everywhere, and we want them to do what they're doing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Hopefully, again, from the MAPPA side of things, they don't try to make something globally acceptable, but at least it looks like Netflix, from that statement, they're not going to get too involved with what they're actually doing. Developing new stories and pursuing new forms of expression, then delivering those works directly to viewers around the world with surprise and inspiration. Looking towards such a future, we are sincerely excited to move forward together with MAPPA. We will continue to give our all so that Japanese anime can evolve more freely, become even more exciting, and grow on a larger scale, delivering new works and excitement from Japan to the world. Anime originating in Japan will continue to strengthen its presence globally. Through our partnership with MAPPA, we aim to bring new Japanese anime to the world, expanding the possibilities for creator collaboration even further, and open up new horizons in anime expression. Okay, that was a lot of word salad at the end there. A lot of word salad towards the end there, and that's the entire announcement. Honestly, like I said earlier, the red flags are just how many times they bring up globally. And again, I acknowledge the fact that you have a global company as part of this partnership. And yes, the two of these companies have worked together in the past. They have produced anime through MAPPA before from Netflix, and those things were adaptations that turned out decently well. I haven't seen too many things, too horrific coming out of them. They kind of just give them the money they need, in a lot of cases, a lot of money, and MAPPA produces something really, really good. So it's not as if we have sort of like any sort of bad idea of what they've done in the past. It's just more of concern about what's the future. But again, acknowledging fully that MAPPA has multiple production lines. They're producing a lot of stuff right now. They have just this assembly line that is just churning out stuff like crazy. And this is only going to be one little fragment of it, one little piece of it that, yes, Netflix is going to have exclusivity to. Whether or not, again, Netflix gets involved in whatever they're creating there, whether or not MAPPA is going to produce something that is a story written by Netflix, that remains to be seen. Either way, if it does turn out to be that, that'll just be one title in that 1 year where, oh, that's that Netflix wrote thing. We'll just ignore that. And we'll still enjoy our Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll still enjoy our next season of Ranma 1/2. We'll enjoy the third season of Campfire Cooking in Another World, and we'll just move on with our lives. Whether or not the global audience ends up accepting it, and then MAPPA starts to get more focused on that, I think that's probably the other concern that a lot of people would have. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. As always, this stuff kind of just starts out with an announcement like this. In the end, 2 years from now, we'll see something pop up, and we'll make our decisions at that point. But that is the news. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content, you want to support channel more, become a member. Until next time, take care.